Good morning, traders. So I did my weekend video and things are playing out like I thought they would from the weekend video. So I'm going to start today talking about the bond market, guys, and the 10-year treasuries for the most part here. So, guys, we're doing a major back test here on our ZNs here. And if you seem to be in the Trump camp and believe that the Trump policies will be stimulative to the economy and the current deficits that we're pinning $1 trillion deficits every 6 months is actually going to dramatically decrease under his policies, and that uh, we're not going to have supply shocks in the bond markets because there's so much supply for bonds that there's just not going to be enough demand there to satisfy it. And if there's not enough demand, yields go higher. Okay, guys. So the 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 thesis is that there is so much debt out there. There's not enough buyers potentially to absorb all that debt. Okay. And if you're in the thesis that this debt is actually going to start waning off, that we're not going to print as much debt given the policies that he's enacting here, then right here, right now, might potentially be a buy the dip opportunity here for the bond market. I had mentioned that the bond market was in my post was into the year-on-year pivot. And how did I get that? Let me give you some ideas here. Um, so guys, I turned my market webs on the yearly webs, okay guys. And as of last year, this time frame right here, this built out from 2023. So when all the volume came in 2023, this right here was the pivot for 2024. Okay, we're currently trading right at that level, the year-on-year pivot. We're currently trading right on that level, potentially putting in a lower high, okay, into the pivot, possibly failing given the sheer magnitude of debt we're currently printing in the markets. Okay, there is a very reasonable belief that this is going to fail. Okay, an extremely reasonable belief that this is going to fail this year-on-year pivot. Okay, guys, and so earlier this year in April, we tried to break above it and it failed. Okay, and basically we did a double bottom. Okay, and now we're effectively potentially putting in a double top now. Okay, and now we're potentially falling back down to the downside. Okay, so if you look on different time frames, like on the monthly webs here, guys. Uh, so we've been putting quite a bit of time here on the monthly time frame. Well, this is daily. Okay, for a few days here, um, and actually building some value up here, which potentially is failing, but it's potentially failing. And that's what I'm getting at right here. This could be a bull flag, and we're right into that critical pivot. Uh, very, very critical pivot here on the ZNs. Okay, so got to definitely keep an eye on how this plays out right here, right now. Because if you're an uber bull, you want to see buyers stepping up right here, right now on the ZNs. Okay, and one thing that you're looking for when you come in, we're kicking off the brand new quarter. Well, guess what? The ZNs is getting the highest volume this morning, uh, early on to kick off the new quarter. So that is one thing you are looking to see, is the ZNs being quite active, at this critical uh, potential bounce point. So let's be very mindful of that. What's going on here, and like I said, we're getting a little bit of bounce this morning, but we're into this pivot area, so we want to see how this plays out. Uh, it's very important to see how price is accepted or failed right here, right now, here on the bonds. Probably the most important thing to watch if you are a bull in this market. You want to see how this plays out, okay? And uh, so definitely one of our top watches. Another one of our top watches here, guys. We came right down into on the daily time frame into a critical support on the dollar, and this level seems to be double bottoming here on the dollar. So this is another thing we got to keep on watch here. You know, is the dollar going to break this double bottom, or is it going to rally from here? Because it's going to have a big impact on our commodities going forward here. You know, dollar weakness would be dollar strength is actually going to be negative on the commodities. So be very mindful of that. And a lot of people think we have peaked on our inflation. And if the dollar continues to rally here, which very well possibly it could, that would suggest that we'll have weakness in commodities, and you know, it could be quite dangerous for gold and precious metals. You know, if the dollar were to continue to pop here, so definitely keep this one on watch. The Dixie, I can't put the market webs on here. I can do UUP. It doesn't get quite the volume. I can the market webs, the volume profile on this, and I like going on a 4-hour. Okay, I'm gonna come in here and zoom in here, UUP. And as you can see right here, guys, on the weekly webs, we are potentially on a weekly basis, week-on-week basis, 2-week basis here. We are potentially breaking out of a 2-week basis on this volume profile. So definitely keep this one on watch here. This thing here might have some legs that would be deflationary to likely to the commodities if this were to continue to find support. Okay, guys, so definitely keep this one on watch. So, guys, some things I had mentioned last night that I was looking for a setup signal that going into the open here that we were going to be breaking some critical supports, and potentially all of this area here being a blow off top area, needing a much deeper back test in the markets and in the last video here. And one of the ideas that I had in my video that I do want to point out here, where was it here? Friday. On the 30-minute time frame right here. This right here is the breakout. You see how you have the double distribution right there? Right there, guys. So this here is my line in the sand. If we initially start losing that early on in the session today, that's basically 6,700. If we start losing that early on in the session, I will be looking to the short side. So be very mindful of that, okay? And if you put your anchored VWAPs on here, I'll zoom. Okay, ideally, guys, you're wanting to lose 66.90. 66.90. But this here would be my first tell that we got some bearishness creeping into the market. But ideally, you know, that would be my first tell, with this being, you don't want this to become new support. You want this to fail, the 66.90. You want that to have an early failure. So the way things are going right now at 7:30 in the morning, we could very well be losing that, coming down into the 66.90 before the open. So let's see how that plays out here. Okay, we might be at 66.90 before the open. So heads up on that. We are considerably away from last week's anchored VWAP here on NQs before even the back test. Okay, guys. And a similar situation around 2 o'clock Friday, we got this breakout. Okay, and that's what we're defending right here on the Nasdaq as well. So we're not really getting any big surprises here. Okay, guys. What time did that happen there Friday? That happened at 12 o'clock. Okay. Okay, on the ESs, it happened a different time. What time was it on the ESs? Okay, that happened at 12 o'clock too. So it happened at noon Friday. Friday we came up here, got the breakout candle on the 30-minute, and that's what we're currently trading at. So both the ESs and the NQs are testing my area early on this morning. Russell, it's got a little bid this morning. Okay. Similar situation. Uh, showing some more weakness here. If you look at the 12 o'clock hour on that, there's 12 o'clock. We have actually rejected that 12 o'clock time frame on the Russell. So I would be actually more bearish on the Russell versus the other indices for initially this morning. Okay, guys. So, the price action does suggest more bearishness on the Russell. How about the diamonds? Diamonds seem to be holding out the best. So far, the diamonds seem to be holding up the best. Okay. Okay, guys. Another way I like looking at this here, guys. So if you put the monthly time frame up and draw your fibs from the monthly 5 SMA up to the current price action, okay, guys, this gives you a little bit of idea of some potential targets, and one of those being 66.48. Okay, guys, and if you put the weekly time frame up and from the highs, and if you draw your fibs, these prior highs right here, it lines up exactly on the weekly time frame right there. Okay, guys, and this 78.6 is actually lining up today with the weekly 5 SMA. So, I would be really thinking that I backtested the 5 SMA is a high odds scenario today. For a potential backtest at the minimum, the 5 SMA here should be a target 1 scenario. That would be filling that gap. Remember, I told you there was no support on that gap. There was very little, and so that is right into that gap area. We might complete filling this gap here today. So heads up on that. There is that gap right here. We might complete that today. Okay, guys, heads up on that. This would be my primary target. The 5 SMA here would be a primary target in today's session, in my opinion. Okay, so heads up on that. We'll see how it plays out. That puts us down to 66, basically 65.95, or 65.90, something like that. Okay, guys. So I'm still thinking this is a high odds scenario in today's session. That is the weekly 5 SMA right there. Okay, guys. So be very mindful of that. Okay, guys. Once I drew my fibs here, this is our NQs. And to go down to the monthly 5 is right down here at these lows right here. So that puts us at 23,140 to get back to the monthly 5 and off of all-time highs. Okay, on the monthly time frame. Now on the weekly time frame, to get things to match up, you anchor this off the prior all-time high breakout. And if you can tell, for the fibs to line up with the monthly 5 SMA, that suggests we put in a blow-off top on the NQs there Friday. So that just suggests, see how this one doesn't line up with this all-time high? Heads up on that. Be forewarned that we may have very well put in a blow-off top. Okay, so at least initially here. And that happened on the whole day Friday. So the entire inventory Friday could be a blow-off top. All of this inventory could be a blow-off top. So be very mindful of that going in today's session, that we could very easily be breaking Friday's lows on the NQs. Very, very easily could be doing that. So everybody to be mindful of that if my thesis is right. So we'll see how it plays out. So one last one here, guys. I think this is more accurate. I had to draw this one a little bit different on the Russell. Okay, our weekly 5 SMA is right here. We're still very much in the bullish camp here on the Russell on the monthly time frame. We're still trying to defend these prior candle all-time high weekly candles bodies here on the Russell. Okay, so the body's opening at all-time highs. So be very mindful of that. Our body is still opening at all-time highs here on the Russell so far this morning. So let's be very mindful of that. Now, on the weekly time frame, this is our fibs on the weekly time frame. I think it makes the most sense to anchor the 23.6 at the weekly 5 SMA. And that actually puts the fibs all the way down at the bottom of this range. This suggests this move here could be very much completed, given, where the five's at. We could have very well, this could be a completed cycle and that needs to correct. So be very mindful of that going forward. Hey guys, that's it for my morning video.